Know, O Prince, that between the years when the oceans drank Atlantis and the gleaming cities, and the years of the rise of the Sons of Aryas, there was an age undreamed of, when shining kingdoms lay spread across the world like blue mantles beneath the stars. Nemedia, Ophir, Brythunia, Hyperborea, Zamora with its dark-haired women and towers of spider-haunted mystery, Zingara with its chivalry, Koth that bordered on the pastoral lands of Shem, Stygia with its shadow-guarded tombs, Hyrkania whose riders wore steel and silk and gold. But the proudest kingdom of the world was Aquilonia, reigning supreme in the dreaming west. Hither came Conan, the Cimmerian, black-haired, sullen-eyed, sword in hand, a thief, a reaver, a slayer, with gigantic melancholies and gigantic mirth, to tread the jeweled thrones of the earth under his sandalled feet. Thus, the Nemedian chronicles tell of Conan the Cimmerian, arguably the best-known literary creation of Texas author Robert E. Howard, now considered the founder of the sword and sorcery genre. His literary creations also includes heroes such as the battle-hardened sailor Steve Costigan, the British adventurer Elborak, the pious swordsman Solomon Kane, and the brooding Picts king Bran Mac Morn. So imagine it's 1932, and the emerging pulp scene is dominated by Weird Tales, the highest-grossing adventure magazine of the time. It was December of said year when the first Conan story, titled The Phoenix on the Sword, made its debut in the magazine. A tale that shows an already old and battle-scarred King Conan struggling with the adversities of governing and having to defend his kingdom against sinister machinations and supernatural forces. Phoenix on the Sword already contains many trademarks that the following Conan tales have in common. The main character in an almost hopeless situation, an overpowering opponent in league with sinister forces, a deeper mythology that is subtly built in the background, and creatures from other dimensions that are unquestionably inspired by Lovecraft's cosmic horror. Contrary to the long-running cliché of Conan as a dumb barbarian, for which the film adaptation with Arnold Schwarzenegger is especially responsible, Howard's original Conan is drawn as a character who combines strength, cunning, wisdom, and humor from the very beginning. The Conan in Phoenix on the Sword is not a primitive muscle man, but a multi-layered character with a firm code of honor, without being a do-gooder or a flawless prince in shining armor. Little wonder the readers of Weird Tales were immediately captivated by this fierce, wolf-like warrior from the north who roamed the Hyborian world, and at the end of a long and bloody career, crowned himself king of mighty Aquilonia. They quickly wanted more stories about the brooding Cimmerian, and so Howard published a variety of adventures that instantly became bestsellers for Weird Tales. Each time a new story hit the shelves, readers were electrified and flooded the magazine with letters to the editor, praising the character and discussing his actions. Many understand this as the very moment when modern fan culture was born. Due to the high demand, a whopping 21 Conan stories appeared over the next 4 years, including such classics as the roguish tale The Tower of the Elephant, the pirate adventure Queen Off to Black Coast, and the epic Hour of the Dragon, in which old King Conan has to defend his conquered crown against dark forces and sinister plotting once more. In 1936, the Conan saga reached its peak with the publication of Red Nails, a haunting tale of sunken civilizations and degenerated cave dwellers in the jungles of the Hyborian South. This story is considered one of the best Conan tales ever, and showed the great potential of the Cimmerian one last time. Just a few months later, in June 1936, Howard tragically committed suicide. His death left a void in the literary world. But that didn't mean the end of Conan. Especially in the 50s and 60s, Howard's creation experienced an impressive renaissance, similar to what happened to his colleague and pen pal H.P. Lovecraft after his passing. Naturally, other authors tried to follow in Howard's footsteps and continue the adventures of the barbarian hero. Lynn Carter, an avid fan of Howard's work, was determined to keep Conan's adventures alive. With his mischievous imagination and unwavering enthusiasm, he took pen in hand and wrote new stories about the muscle-bound barbarian. Carter was not alone in this heroic mission. He received support from L. Sprague de Camp, a veteran author and friend of Howard's. Together, they formed an alliance to continue spinning Conan's world. De Camp had a different approach than Howard, though, and brought a certain order into the chaos of the often only loosely connected Conan stories. He arranged them chronologically and added new details to maintain continuity. You could say he was the archivist of the Hyborian Age. This approach, however, is rejected by many today because it wasn't in keeping with the spirit of Howard, who told his Conan stories like an adventurer around the hearth fire of a tavern would, with little regard for chronological order. But without question, Carter and DeCamp helped making Conan a cult figure in fantastic literature and brought Howard's creation to a new generation. Together, Carter and DeCamp wrote numerous novels and short stories about Conan in fluctuating quality. They led the barbarian through dangerous battles, dark magic, and exotic lands. In the process, they always tried to keep Howard's original spirit alive, which they sometimes succeeded in more and sometimes less. The consensus among fans today is rightly that despite honorable efforts, neither could ever match Howard's raw immediacy and powerful language. In this day and age, the original Conan stories are classics of fantasy literature and have inspired generations of readers. Where Tolkien's Lord of the Rings remains the genre classic of high fantasy, Conan epitomizes the rawer style of the genre, concerned not with world-spanning epicness but with day-to-day survival and the gritty struggle between barbarism and civilization. They are a timeless example of epic adventure, heroic deeds, and a prehistoric world filled to the brim with danger, not that far different to our own.